Sure.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm going to ask Jim Ridgway to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Barbara, call the roll, please.
Here.
Counselor Ridgway.
Here.
Counselor Smart.
Here.
Counselor Warner.
Here.
Supervisor Rose.
Here. First order of business is approval of the minutes. Resolution 95-86, approval of minutes. Move that the regular town board minutes of June 8, 1995, having been distributed, be approved without reading. I'll move it.
Second.
Any corrections or additions? Okay, Barbara, you poll the council, please.
Counselor Pierce.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't here last month.
Okay. Counselor Ridgway.
Aye.
Counselor Smart.
Aye.
Counselor Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor Rose.
Aye. Next resolution, 95-87, payment of bills. Move that vouchers number 180 through 214, general fund, in the amount of $202,000, 286. $202,286.87, and vouchers number 154 through 183, highway fund, in the amount of $17,148.68. Having been approved, that the supervisor is authorized to pay them from the designated accounts. Would someone like to move that?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
No, second it.
For discussion here, Councilman Warner didn't sign voucher 183 for Alltel and 184 for Blue Shield Blue Cross. 187 Veterans Council and 191 United Computers was not signed by anyone on the board. Supervisor Rose did not sign Bill 213 for Bob Kerping. I'll explain the reason I didn't sign that particular one, because there were no receipts attached. It was for a conference he went to, and we're supposed to have receipts attached to the bill before we can sign it and approve it for payment. And there were no receipts for meals. There was one that said something about lodging, but it didn't say where or anything else. I don't know if it was even a valid receipt. So that's why I didn't sign that particular one. Jesse, do you want to explain any of this?
Yes, I know that we had a lot of talk on this Alltel bill, but I thought I got them all signed. And if I didn't sign them, I will sign them, because I know the Blue Cross Blue Shield is for our insurance, and the Veterans Council is for the flags, but there was a big question on the United Computers that nobody signed that one.
Right. I was under the impression that there was a service call here for something that wasn't related to warranty. There's another opinion that maybe it was related to warranty, so we need to figure that out before we pay for that bill. So I'll let United Computers know and let them explain what that bill was. I just got back from vacation late this afternoon, so I haven't had time to do that yet, but I'll check it out. Okay. Barbara, we poll the council.
Counselor Pierce.
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway.
Aye.
Counselor Smart.
Aye.
Counselor Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor Rose.
Aye. Okay, communications is next on the agenda, and I have a couple pieces here. One, we had a request from the Volney Elementary School a few months ago to have the speed limit lowered in the vicinity of the school, since we put up the two flashing yellow beacons. And I sent a letter off to the state requesting that. We just received a letter back from them. Please be advised that a school speed limit should be established only if the following conditions exist. 1, that the zone contains a marked crosswalk. 2, the crosswalk is supervised. 3, the school has 1 or more grades below 10. 4, there is no nearby traffic control signal, pedestrian overpass or underpass, or bridge suitable for pedestrian use. If all the above conditions exist, please notify this office in writing. Your interest in this matter is greatly appreciated. It appears that all those conditions need to exist, and right now, I believe 2 of them do. The other one, a marked crosswalk and a supervised crosswalk, is something we're going to have to take up with the school system to see if they want to provide that, and if they do, then we'll continue with this request. Any discussion with the board on this letter at all? Comments? Okay. The other letter was also from the Department of Transportation. This is in response to a letter that Councilman Pierce wrote concerning the intersection of Route 3 and County Route 6. In response to your letter, we have completed a review of the subject intersection. Our review included an analysis of the accident history, traffic counts, and on-site conditions. Based on that review, we have determined that signalization is not appropriate at this time. We will, however, upgrade some signing at this site and closely monitor it in the event conditions change. Your interest in transportation safety is appreciated. Very truly yours, Charles Moynihan. So I guess for the time being, we won't be seeing any traffic control right there. So, okay, that's all I have for communications. Next order of business is committee reports. Assessors, I don't believe there's anything to report on assessing right now. Planning board, Kevin.
The July meeting of the Planning Board was held on Thursday, July 6, 1995. It was a relatively lengthy meeting. The board completed its reconsideration of the Penny Easton zone change request. And as a whole, we changed our mind on this one. I got to say that I was one of the people who did change our mind. And in light of the rapid movement on the Seneca Hill Medical Complex, and the simple fact that this board member has difficulty, I have difficulty looking at the Seneca Hill Medical Complex and saying that's a great idea, and then across the street looking at another piece of property that somebody's looking at and saying we can go with this one and not go with that one. I feel that the better way to handle this, and I think the board agreed, was to look at the overall area as a whole, be proactive in that case, and recognize the fact that with the movement in that, with the hospital coming in, the nursing home and the adjacent medical buildings that will be coming in over the next few years, growth is going to happen in that area, and maybe taking a more active stance now is better than taking a piecemeal approach later on. The board felt that a zone change, including a larger area, was a more effective strategy. Not adopting the zone change now will only mean that this matter will come up again in the future with another applicant. As stated in the resolution, this step would allow for a more carefully planned development of the area and better protection for existing residences. So what we did is we did recommend a zone change of a larger area encompassing both sides of County Route 45, from slightly past the hospital complex to slightly past the subject property on the other side of, on the east side of the 481 intersection. It's outlined in the resolution with specific, I believe, specific tax map numbers. So what that does is that then puts this matter now back in the hands of the town board to look at, and I'd be glad to discuss it further with any, at the convenience of the town board, getting more into the strategies and how we looked at it. The board also began review of the Ron Austin request for a site plan approval for their proposed restaurant on McDougal Road. I believe they just recently received a special use permit from the ZBA, so we're presently awaiting some more information so we can make a determination that we have a complete package, and then we'll be setting up a public hearing and reviewing their site plan. The board also completed work on the proposed Baldwin Heights subdivision. The board denied approval of this subdivision as it was presented. I want to stress at this time that it's as presented. This does not deny Mr. Ledden's right to have a subdivision. We felt that the plans that he submitted at that time were not acceptable, and he generally seemed, at least in my opinion, to lack a willingness to reconsider certain aspects of the plan that he submitted. The board also approved minor subdivisions submitted by a Mr. and Mrs. Spataro and a Mr. Calvin Hill. The board, after that, also reviewed suggestions made to it by the Zoning Update Committee, and the board's recommendations are recorded in the minutes. Let me just review them briefly. In reference to the change of the 10-day notice to 5 days, there was a recommendation of a majority of the planning board that in order to give the public maximum notice of important zoning matters, that the town stay with the 10-day notification requirement. Regarding the removing of fees, it is the board's recommendation to take out the 3 sections where specific fee amounts have not yet been removed. On the update of the 45 to 62 days for decisions being made after the closure of a public hearing, it is the board's recommendation to update the subdivision regulation sections that state 45 days to the new state law enacted July 1st, 1992, which reflects 62 days from the close of a public hearing. Regarding the last section, I believe, that was submitted to us regarding variances and changing the section on variances to reflect a different description. It was very late at night at that point, and the discussion went on for quite a while, so the board decided to table that. We will be having another meeting on Wednesday, July 26, 1995, whereby we will hopefully resolve this section, okay, and have a recommendation for you regarding that. It should be stated that some board members expressed strong concerns regarding the present makeup of the Zoning Update Committee and how it's operating. A lengthy discussion did take place regarding this, and that's another reason why we decided to hold a special meeting on Wednesday, July 26th, for the purpose of further discussion of this area, as well as we've got a lot of other business before us that I think we need to take care of. I want to compliment Jody Marvin. The minutes have already been completed, so they are available for any residents who are interested. And anybody who is interested in being put on our agenda or having business that needs to be taken care of at our special meeting on July 26th, I'd like to encourage them to give me a call, because with the amount of matters before us, it's important that we try to get a good idea of how much business we have to take care of so we can budget the time properly. Thank you very much.
Kevin, did you get a copy of this letter from the county planning concerning an amendment to that 239 review resolution that we passed?
We got 2 letters. I think one was regarding the zoning maps, and I think Marie's going to address that, and I believe we agree with what Marie's going to be saying regarding that. The other was the change in the referral notice. That is a real problem, because the way things would operate, many important matters that come before the planning board need to be submitted to the county planning board for review. Obviously, the county has more resources than we have, and sometimes they have a better perspective on certain matters. So while we may or may not agree with their recommendations, it's important that we have their input. And unfortunately, what would change under the state law is that we would have to make a decision regarding environmental significance before we submit the material for the county planning board for review. And I think that's terrible. First of all, it requires additional meetings, and then also I could foresee a situation where we say, no, it's not an environmental problem. Then we get some letter back from the county saying, oh yeah, well, it really is a problem, and then we have to turn around back to the applicant and say, well, we missed this, and change a decision. So I strongly recommend that to at least partially alleviate the problem, that the town board support this minor wording change and get that submitted before July 31st, because if we don't, it is going to be a real hassle, and much more a hassle for the poor applicant coming before us than for us.
So you're recommending that this be something?
Absolutely, absolutely. I wish they'd eliminate the necessity of having to fill out part 2, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Al.
Okay, zoning, Marie?
Yes, we had 2 meetings since your last town board meeting, due to the Wednesdays falling on opposite days. At the June 13th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, we had a public hearing for Mr. and Mrs. Ron Austin, the family restaurant on McDougal Road that's been ongoing. However, with a lot of discussion, a lot of issues on both sides, Mr. Austin did come back. He did revise his plan. He did finally give us a drawing that showed the appearance of a restaurant and not a convenience store. And he also agreed, because a lot of the concern of the residents was that he'd be serving alcohol there, and he did agree that he did not have an alcohol license, but he was considering applying, but he wasn't going to do it in the near future. And with the concern of the residents, he agreed that he would not seek a liquor license until he came back and asked for another variance from us. So we did approve the special use permit with special conditions, and they were outlined in his application. We also had an application submitted by Mr. and Mrs. Gary Tice for an area variance to convert a garage into a resident located on Route 3. There's a lot of confusion with this one as well, because even though he had a lot of acreage, he couldn't really show us where the division of the property was. He came in with 3 tax maps, and the tax maps really do not show us the boundaries and what we actually need to make a justification, so we couldn't even make a determination of how large a variance he really needed. What he agreed to do was to go back and get the land deeded over, and once he was able to establish some type of deed showing us the boundary lines, we told him that we would give him approval of an area variance contingent on subdivision approval from the planning board. So he said that would be fine, that he was going to go get the deed the next day, and I did alert Kevin to make sure that he did have a deed in hand. However, there was some confusion, and Mr. Tice did not appear before the planning board, but he came to the zoning board last night, and there was some change in the meeting, and so apparently he's got to go the next month. Is that what you're going to do?
He's going to go to the 26th.
Okay, yeah, he's going to go back to 20. That's one of the things that's going to come up. So, but there wasn't any opposition to Mr. Tice. There was no public in opposition or any concern, so I don't see this being too much of a problem. The other thing is the members of the zoning board, along with the planning board and the town board, toured the site for the proposed Senecal Hill Medical Complex on Route 45, and I would just like to say that whoever idea that was to invite all boards together to go down and tour that site, I thought it was very helpful, especially for us as zoning board members. It's one thing to see something on a map, but to actually go down there and see, what's going to happen. And there was a lot of people there that were professionally involved, that were able to answer a lot of our questions, and as a result, our public hearing went very fast last night compared to the month before. We're there till 10:30 at night. But they come in, they had the ducks in a line. The only issue that the zoning board was concerned on the environmental impact statement, it said they were seeking 20,000 gallons of water a day from the Seneca Hill Water District. I was concerned because I've been involved with the Seneca Hill Water District with Jeff, and I worried about the capacity down there, and they said that they too were concerned and they were looking at alternatives. So that was about the only issue. And again, there was no public opposition, pro or con. And that was at the July 12th meeting. And again, we did pass that unanimously. Then a public hearing was scheduled for August 9th for an area variance for Mr. I think it's Seor. He's located on the Dietrich Road. Apparently, some house was left to his family, and he's got 3 acres, and he's looking for half an acre for an area variance in order to put a trailer. So he will be there next month for that. The letter that Kevin was talking about, apparently was addressed to you, Howard, regarding the maps. Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay, well, we talked to the board last night, and they're talking about that the county will supply us with an updated zoning. I'm sorry, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, just for your information, there was a letter sent from the county, Mr. Mark, the county planning board. Our proposal is that for a one-time fee of $100, we will prepare a computerized, up-to-date zoning map of the town, village, or city. This will be accompanied by an agreement to provide mapping for the future zoning map updates of a $25 fee for each district. We believe that expense could be built into the municipality's fee structure for zoning application. And we thought it was time to get a new zoning update map, and we thought this was a very reasonable fee that they're offering. And then we also have 11 by 14 that we call use. But one of the concerns that was brought up by one of the board members is that we want to make sure that the zoning update map that they have agrees with what we have, because before we've gotten this confusion, like, where did this residential district come in? And so before we, send the money in, I think we need to verify that this is the actual map that we're all in agreement with. Wouldn't you agree?
They don't know about it, Marie, because I came in right before I went on vacation last week, and I didn't get a chance to even get copies made of it, so the board's not even aware of this yet. And I just got back today, this afternoon, so it's something we still have to discuss.
Yeah, you have time to look at it. There's time, but I just wanted to let you know, as a zoning board, we feel it's a worthwhile investment. And, but that was our only concern, that we just don't get some map from the county. We want to make sure that this information is verified. And I think it would be very helpful for the town as well as us. We could have a big map put in maybe the zoning and planning office would probably be the most feasible place for it. And probably one percent.
Maybe before you go, if we could just run another copy off while we're thinking about it, we'll get the board a copy of it.
Absolutely.
I apologize for not getting a chance to do that before I left.
And is there anything else? Oh, the only other thing I'd like to say is I'm kind of disappointed the planning board didn't think the 10-day notice was a good thing, because the zoning board is the one that has been requesting that this be done. And for the simple reason, we have people that come before us, and it could be a very, very simple issue, that just for a variance or something, and we have to, a lot of times, wait to the following month. You know, and if we want to have a special meeting, by the time we put it in the paper, as you know, the Daily News is a deadline of Monday and Thursday. And it's because of those deadlines, the 10-day notice is very difficult for us. If we had a daily newspaper that come out every day, I think the 10-day notice would be a good thing. The 5-day notice would give us time to get it down there so it would get in the paper. And this is, you know, this is part of the problem that people are running into. We're saying, well, by the time we get it to the paper, the 10 days is a long time, and they have to wait for the following month. This just holds up a lot of people that are trying to build, or maybe just trying to put an addition onto their house, and that's what we were looking for. Not for, obviously, big items, large variances, and special use permits, or something like this. Just for the simple person trying to put up a garage. I mean, the 5-day notice would be so much easier for people, and then we could have maybe another meeting, like in the middle of the month. Otherwise, you know, we don't have enough time to get it in. And that was one of the reasons that we requested. And I wasn't at the meeting, I don't know what the reasoning was, but I'm disappointed because I know the zoning board wanted that.
Well, we, the town board, have not discussed any of these things that the planning board come up with, so
Well,
we will
that's
be
not
sitting,
my point of
we will be
view.
sitting down to discuss these.
I do happen to agree with the 5-day period myself, only because I think our job is to be as efficient as possible for those concerned.
Well, it's also a state mandate and a county mandate. We're the only
Right,
ones that can
it is, and, you know, I mean, when people get their newspaper, that notice is in there, they've got 5 days to catch it. If they don't catch it, well, they missed it, but I don't think that 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th day is gonna make any difference to those people, because people that read those notices are gonna read them, and people that don't aren't going to. But the people that want to get that thing moving are the ones that we should be trying to help out and expedite their request as efficiently as possible, so I think it's a good idea for 5 days, but we'll discuss it as a board and we'll see what happens.
I don't know the reason was, but I think we should reconsider that and think about it, because that was, I know that was our concern. We just had one gentleman that come and said, can't you have a meeting like next week, you know, just so I can, and we couldn't, because these 10 days is a long time to get that notice in. And we couldn't accommodate him, and I think it was too bad.
Okay, thank you. Code enforcement, Cindy.
Okay, I issued 15 permits in June, 1 for homes, 6 mobile homes, 1 addition, 1 garage, 5 pools, 1 farm building, and 1 miscellaneous. 1 certificate of occupancy was issued, 1 certificate of compliance for septic system, 13 construction inspections were done, 2 fire safety inspections, and 7 complaint follow-ups. I'd like to announce that I'm going to change my office hours slightly for the summer. Monday evenings, I'll still be here 6 to 8, and Tuesday and Thursday mornings, I'm going to be in between 8 and 10 instead of 9 and 11. A lot of times I need to be getting out and doing inspections, and most everybody's up, everybody that's doing construction work is up early trying to get it done while it's still cool. So I'm going to be in a little bit earlier on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And just to let you know, next Wednesday I'll be out of the office all day attending a conference. Things have been pretty busy this month. We do have a lot of swimming pools going in. Everybody's getting ready for the heat. I know Kevin's been keeping really busy. I've been sending a lot of people to him. People are getting their subdivision approvals and whatnot. I'd also like to say the Seneca Hill Nursing Home Project, the architects that are working on that have been very helpful and seem to be a very professional group of people. They've already sent me a preliminary set of plans, which is great because it's a big project and it's going to take me a long time to review. So they've been very, very helpful. And I've had a request for a building permit to add on to a warehouse down, that'll be rented by Owens, Illinois. So I hope that's another good sign financially for Volney.
Thank you.
Dog control, Gary?
Received 69 calls. 2 dogs were adopted out, 1 dog redeemed, 1 dog euthanized, 5 dogs are housed at the kennel. There's 2 dogs at the present time over there. 5 dogs were reported lost, and 1 dog bite was reported. 387 miles to put on the truck. The yard work is all done over there for this month. We had an estimate on the kennel floor for repairs. It's supposed to be done in August, if approved. The other thing is, I want to see about the dog numerization or census for the summer. If you were to discuss it, how you want to handle it, people don't have license and stuff like that at the time. And the only other thing is, veterinary and Jack Woods contacted me. They have a microchip out now. If you have a dog that's kind of valuable, of course any family pet's valuable to you, it's the size of a grain of rice. You inject it with a needle. If the dog is lost, I'll have a scanner. You just scan it like a bag of potatoes. Tells you who's the owner and telephone number and everything. And the chip costs about $25. And the scanner, we can get them for nothing if we go through the veterinarians and stuff. That's for the use of the chip. So, especially if you got a valuable dog or even a valuable family pet, it would probably be nice.
Can I get injected in the bloodstream of the dog?
Or an injector anywhere, just with a needle. Very, very small, about the size of a grain of rice.
So it's just like under the skin then, or what?
And it's good forever. I mean, the chip, there's no battery, nothing in it. The number goes to whatever brand the scanner is, but Jack Woods showed me that he's got like a chip, and that chip would work on 3 different companies' scanners. So, but he's trying to get one. I got the paperwork. I forgot to bring it with me. So you just put in a syringe needle and just inject it in there, anywhere on the back, somewhere beginning in the collar area. Just go like that there, and it reads out whatever. Gives you a number, number to call, and you read them this number, and they'll tell you who owns the dog and their telephone number.
Jack Woods is providing that service, or who's providing?
Mike Frick called me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in the scanner. They're going to pass out so many. I took the dog out to Jackson. He recommended me, we can apply for it. He'll apply for it. This one scanner seems to be better, so he says anyway, than the other ones. It's more, because one company won't give out the numbers, and this company here will give out the telephone numbers and address. The other one won't do it. They give you a number for that guy to call who lost the dog, I guess. So, just like anything, there's some good and some bad ones.
This is part of a national program, isn't it, Jerry? This is part of a national program. I've heard quite a bit about this, yeah. Yeah, so it's...
Call 800 number or whatever it is. It's the thing that's going to be in the future. It's going to get bigger and bigger. Because right now, every dog comes in like this Squeagle. They're supposed to scan it. They might get 1 chip out of every 3 months for now, but 2 years from now, they'll be getting 50 chips, showing up. The price isn't bad, $25. So if you've got a real nice family pet, it'd be worth it.
Historian Fern?
I received a complimentary copy of a quarterly historian paper, and this is a first-time printing and will be $15 a year charge from now on. A lot of thought has gone into this and will be a help for people searching their roots. There's space reserved for people needing help in locating family tree information, and there's also historical information included pertaining to cemeteries and names listed of people buried there. A different listing is in each printing. There will also be a listing of all the post offices in Oswego County in the late 1800s. Again, anyone wishing to share family genealogy with this office, I will be glad to copy them and return your originals. It's surprising how many histories supply a link that another family is searching for.
Great, thank you.
Recreation, I have a report. July 13th, 1995 recreation report. 53 attended the trip to Thunder Island along with several chaperones, thanks to all who helped out. 20 children enjoyed tie-dyeing thanks to the parents who stayed to help and enjoying the fun. Upcoming events include trip to Sylvan Beach Amusement Park on Tuesday, July 25th, The bus leaves the town hall at 10 a.m. and returns at approximately 4 p.m. Bring a bag lunch and wear a red shirt. The cost is $4. August 19th, Saturday at Fulton Raceway. Meet at the front gate at 6:15. I believe this is open to all the kids who are involved in the rec program with a membership card. And I'm not positive, you can check with the rec director, but I think the parents can go in free with the children. So that's a pretty good time, I guess. I haven't been to it, but it's been real popular the last 3 years. August 25th, Friday, Syracuse Chiefs baseball game. A bus will leave the town hall at 5:45 p.m. for a 7 o'clock game. All events must be signed up for in advance of the town hall. Again, I believe chaperones are allowed to go on that with the kids at no charge as well, so if you want to accompany the children on that, that would be helpful. Also, she has here a notice, free arts and crafts for kids at the Volney Town Hall, July 13th, 20th, and 27th, August 3rd and 10th, from 2:30 till 3:30 p.m. This is part of the Traveling Arts in the Parks for the City County Youth Bureau. And I'm reading this report because our rec director works at Rudy's in Neeting.
Okay. Highway, Bob, Barbara, you have a report for Bob?
Yes, I do. Machine maintenance, 13 days. Most roadside, 17 days. Driveways, 3 days. Road repairs, 19 days. Road and repair materials, $17,148.68. Wages for June 1995, $18,931.39. The total expenditures, $36,080.07, and that's submitted by Bob Kerfeen, Highway Superintendent.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to recreation for a minute because I know probably some of you might be wondering what's going on with the park. I don't see Donna Kessner or Ellen here tonight to ask that question, and they usually do ask. And they ask for a very good reason because they've been very active in helping us with the park. I'm a little disappointed tonight because I was hoping that we would have this park up and running by now, and we probably could have it up and running by now if some things have been done by our highway department that I was told were going to get done this spring. We had some volunteers in May who went over and spread the sand that was generously donated by Northern to get the volleyball courts ready. We were in hopes that the basketball courts would be blacktop shortly after that. I was told that if we put the fence up along the property line on the west, that would make it so that our highway superintendent would get in there and clean it up and finish the paving and the road and parking and so on. A few weeks ago, I asked about it again. He said that he had men on vacation. As soon as they came back, they would get right to it. Well, it is now in nearly mid-July. We still haven't got anything over there, and the summer's half over with. So if you want to know what's going on with the park, I suggest you call our highway superintendent. Don't ask me about it, because I've been on his case to get this going. It's been 6 years. I'm very disappointed. If I sound upset, I am. I think it's time that people start making some phone calls in, because I've done all that I can do. And we can't do anything without his help, because we don't have the equipment or the manpower to do the job that needs to be done to get that going. I know there's a lot of other things that have been done in this town that are not anything significant enough that people could benefit from it, particularly this little area across the way here that got paved last fall for snowplow blades to set on, and we could have had a basketball court over here for the kids this summer to play on. So make your phone calls if you're concerned. I just had to say that because I'm just really peeved about it. Old business. Is there any old business from the board?
Yes. Okay, back last year, when we had all the controversy about the radioactive sludge being taken to Bristol Hill, we got the official destination from being Bristol Hill stopped, but we had never gotten any notification of what they were going to do instead. We received a copy of a letter sent to both Pasney and Niagara Mohawk saying that they had an incomplete application and they were notifying them of it. And obviously, whether or not they had their application complete, they still had to do something with the stuff. So I contacted Joanne March with the DEC, and she said that she was under the impression that they were going to be sending it to the Ellery landfill in Chautauqua County, but they had not received a copy of the
364 permit to transport the sewage sludge. And so she wasn't quite sure where it stood, so I called Mark Lichtenstein, and he said that he wasn't the one involved in that because it was not coming to Bristol Hill. It was Jack Tierney, so I checked with Jack, and he was also under the impression it was going to Chautauqua, but he said he was not completely involved in it. So I checked with Mr. Mangano, the supervisor of Minetto, and he said yes, in fact, they were planning on using Chautauqua County. It's just apparently in the downsizing of Niagara Mohawk, they downsized the guy who knew how to fill out the permits, and the new guy didn't realize he needed to file it for him. But that misunderstanding has been straightened out, and they are filing it. She said that we could check, Joanne March said that we could check back because they have a deadline of the end of July to get the paperwork filed. And so if the town is concerned to make sure that it is definitely being designated Chautauqua, we can check back the first week of August to find out if both Pasney and Niagara Mohawk have indeed filed the permits for there. And I checked with Chautauqua, and they have agreed to take it. So it is going in the direction that the residents of this town wanted it to go.
Thanks, Buddy. Any other new or old business? Okay, next order of business is resolutions and discussion. First resolution, 95-88, authorize highway superintendent to purchase 3 overhead doors. Move to authorize the highway superintendent to purchase 3 overhead doors for the old highway garage. 3 14-foot by 12-foot, 593 series thermocore steel insulated, manual operation, 2 small 24 by 7 lights per door. Includes 6 1-inch by 4-inch to catch jams. This job is posted rate, total $5,272. Somebody want to move that?
So moved.
Second for discussion? I'll do that. I wasn't here when this probably was discussed Tuesday evening. This is the old highway garage across the street here. We're looking at steel insulated doors. Is that an insulated heated building? Is it? Do we need that?
Yes.
We do?
We heat part of it, but the 3 doors that are, we put 2 new ones in there, Howard. The 3 that are left can't operate them. And they're the old wooden doors that, when the state was over there, brought down when they put new doors on over in Mexico. And now they've got to the point they can't raise them or lower them, and they're coming apart. And just felt that if we're going to spend the money for doors, we might as well spend the money on the insulated doors, and it would control that much more as far as the heat goes. It's not heated, the full thing, but it's heated enough if and when they're over there painting one part of it.
Is there money in his budget for this? He's already got money for that?
He said, told us he's got money that he could use.
Is this something we need to bid out because it's over the amount though?
I think you have to get prices. I think the bid out is, I forget whether it's up to
$7,500, I think.
$8,000,
Either $7,500
$7,500 or $8,000.
Right.
Didn't we lower that on the local level though?
Well,
We lowered it to 3,000.
we have a resolution on that. And the last time we bid these doors, we only received, I think, 1 bid. 2 bids. One, I forget what it was, whether it was higher or, but nobody seems to want to bid them, and I think we got a good, reliable door company and a good door that we get them in. I know.
Apparently discussed this a little bit the other night.
We discussed it Tuesday night, yes.
The board's pretty confident we want to go ahead and do this. Okay. Any other discussion on this from the board?
Any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? Okay, Barbie, poll the council.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Roach?
Aye.
Okay, next resolution, 95-89, acceptance of Volney Center Cemetery. Move that the town of Volney accept the conveyance of the cemetery known as the Volney Center Cemetery Association Incorporated. Town of Volney, County of Oswego, State of New York, whereas there has been established in this town a cemetery known as the Volney Center Cemetery Association Incorporated, which association maintains a public cemetery on Route 3 in Volney, Oswego County, New York, and owns real property in said village. And whereas said association has under its care certain funds for perpetual care, permanent maintenance, special trust, general deposit in the following banks: Fulton Savings Bank. Whereas the association has been and still is unable to procure sufficient income from above investments, the members of the association and from the representatives of the deceased persons interred in the cemetery. Whereas the Cemetery Association has requested that the town of Volney, pursuant to section 1506J of the Not-for-Profit Corporation Law, accept the conveyance of the cemetery premises and transfer of assets. Resolved that the town of Volney accept the conveyance of the cemetery premises and the transfer of the assets from the Cemetery Association. Such conveyance shall be subject to all agreements as to lots sold and all trust, restrictions, and conditions upon or use of the real property assets. Has this been discussed at all with our attorney? Did anyone on the board discuss that?
I don't know. I understand, however, that this is kind of a boilerplate language from the state, that this is simply a process that is quite commonly done by towns when they take over a cemetery that's not able to be maintained by the Cemetery Association. We do currently do the one at the 16th Grange. This is another one that the committee is simply unable to do, and I believe this is boilerplate. It's my understanding of this. Now, I haven't talked to the attorney, but I understand that this was taken right from the, I'm not sure, it was the Controller's Office or Attorney General. Where did this one come from, Barb? Do you remember? I can't remember where. Marion Taylor got this from the, or Marion Taylor got it from the,
Well, it appears to be a model that may or may not be applicable to our conditions here, so I would suggest that we table this and discuss it with our attorney, at least have him review it. And also, the next motion down below concerns the Highway Department's agreement to do the maintenance. I don't know if this has been discussed with the Highway Superintendent.
It has. Yes, he has no
problems.
problems with that.
Okay, it says that the wages will come out of the cemetery fund, but it sounds like they're just about depleted, which means that will become a taxpayer pretty soon.
This is, I understand, my understanding is there's somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. One of the reasons that they want to do this so quickly is that there's a CD that is currently coming due within a few days, and rather than redeposit the money, what Mrs. Taylor wanted to do was, if she could get this expedited, was to get it turned over to the town. Now, it was my understanding we had this a month ago, and for some reason it never got to us. How long ago did we get it, Barb?
Well, they came in and talked to Barb about it. It was never formed.
Oh, no, but I mean, she thought that it was going to go to the town board a month ago, so that she'd have some lead time.
Okay, that was prior to our last meeting, though, wasn't it? Or after our last meeting, right?
Yeah.
Was it after the last meeting? I
Yes,
didn't.
this come in after our last meeting, and
No, I remember her being spoken to about it, but nothing was presented to me or the board. So I'm a little concerned about being hasty in this decision here. I think we should find out more. It's pretty vague. And it really hasn't been discussed in any depth, and I do think we need legal advice on it too, before we move on. That'd be my suggestion. Table it. Push this through if that's a real necessity, then I don't have a problem with that, but I think we should run this by our attorney first, so. I move the table if anyone agrees with that.
I'll second it.
Second it? Okay. So the motion is to table this resolution, the second by Bill Pierce, probably full of council.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
aye.
Supervisor Rules?
Aye.
I'd like, though, to Howard, to have us set up a meeting very, very quickly so that we can do this, because I do know that note is coming due, and she doesn't want to hold the money.
Well, she could just put it in a regular
Well,
day-to-day
but-
account. In the meantime, you don't have to roll them immediately.
Well, but I
Well,
would
I'm
like
open
to
anytime next week except for Tuesday, if anyone else on the board wants to
this might be a little bit early in the meeting, but I think we ought to get a meeting next week, and all of us together again after we all had our vacations to talk about the zoning issues and like that.
Okay, so let's
And
have a special
the
meeting.
recommendations that we got from the planning board
Okay.
next week sometime be okay.
All right, let's continue with the meeting, and at the end, we'll decide.
We set a special meeting day. All right.
Okay. That's all for the resolutions and discussion. New business, any new business from the board? No new business? Okay, I'm gonna open the floor to our first petitions. Anyone have any petitions this evening? Petitions? Okay, now I'll open the floor to public comment. Public comment. Okay, bill signing and agenda preparation will be August 8th at 7 p.m. Our next regularly scheduled town board meeting will be August 10th at 7 p.m. Zoning update. Do we have a date for that, Bill?
No, because I want to have a meeting with the town board this month to go over the past recommendations, and I'd like to get that.
And then we'll set that up afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can discuss the issues from the planning board, the recommendations and things like that, that meeting.
Okay.
I just thought we wouldn't have one because lack of interest.
Well, what's the board's pleasure on a meeting for next week then?
That would be,
Wednesday or Thursday would be best for me. Is that a problem?
Either of those days are all right.
Either of those days are good for you?
Yeah.
Bill?
Wednesday's better for me than Thursday.
Wednesday's better for you?
Yep.
Yes.
Doesn't make any difference.
I have the dog, we have that dog
Rabies clinic?
clinic, and I'm working at that.
Next Wednesday evening?
Yeah,
Is it possible Lisa might be able to be there?
no, she works nights.
She works nights? Okay, well, I don't want to hold this meeting up for that reason.
Well,
We have to
how about Thursday?
I have another meeting Thursday.
About Jody Moore?
Yeah, we could probably use Jody if Lisa isn't available. You're not sure if Lisa's available or not right now.
I don't know, she usually works 5 to close, but if she's available, she can
Jody
do
does a
it.
good job, we could just take her.
Okay, well, why don't we set it up for that date, and if anything becomes a problem, getting minutes taken, we may have to change it Thursday, if we do need to have minutes taken for this meeting.
At 7 o'clock?
7 p.m., I think would be good. Wednesday, and the date is...
This is that special meeting on
It's
the
the 19th.
cemetery?
Cemetery and the issues from the zoning and planning board.
Okay, 7 p.m., July 19th. Okay. Jim,
Move to adjourn.
A second.
Harvey, poll the council.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Aye. Thank you all for coming.